And the next stage is the next act. Okay, so we have then basically looked at the first act. And the first act is, remember, separation. We're not yet in the journey yet. We have not yet actually embarked upon the journey until Act 2. Act 1 is merely preparation for the journey. It is overcoming the resistances of the journey. Act 2 is that of initiation or transformation, where we actually step into the unknown and onto the hero's journey path. So when we step into the unknown, we are going to step into that stage that Joseph Campbell refers to as the road of trials. And the road of trials does not seem very welcoming. It does not sound like the type of place that you want to step into. But there is a reason that we want to cultivate the mentality of welcoming trials into our lives. And this is very important to get. So basically, the road of trials is a series of tests, tasks, or challenges that the hero must undergo as a part of his transformation. So now, this is why we want to learn how to embrace trials. These are the reasons. Okay, it's very important to get this because the ego resists challenges. But these are the 3 reasons that we want to learn to embrace trials. Number 1, trials help us to uncover and resolve our limitations and weaknesses. So remember, the need to go on this journey is so that we can strengthen ourselves, so that we can become more limitless, so that we can become stronger, because the version of us at the end of our journey needs to be stronger. It needs to be able to make it past the limitations of the small shell. And so when we step onto the road of trials and we experience challenges, they help us to see where we are weak, where we stumble, okay? Where we have limitations, where we don't know how to do something and we need to learn how to do something new. So it's very important that we embrace challenges for that reason. The second reason why we want to embrace tests on our road of trials is that they help us to deconstruct our flawed understandings to make room for a deeper and more enlightened perspective. Okay, so our understandings before we start our journey are based upon a very small understanding of life and reality. And so when we embark upon the road of trials, they help us to deconstruct those flawed understandings, those infantile views of reality and the world. And they actually have to help us to make room for a deeper and a larger perspective of life. So it is very important that we understand that our little understanding has to be expanded, and it can only be expanded through undergoing our tests and our challenges. So a third reason why we want to embrace trials on the road of the hero's journey is because they give us the courage and the skills to face the challenges and responsibilities that will be faced by the future version of ourselves. So think about when we are that successful entrepreneur at the end of the journey, think about the difference in the needs, the understandings, the courage, the level of skill that that version of ourselves will have, as opposed to the understandings, the skills, the level of courage that we have at the beginning of the journey or before we start the journey. Tests and trials are necessary so that we can embody a greater sense of courage. It is not until we face frightening situations time and time again that we are able to develop courage, right? Think about that child that has to go through a rite of passage in that traditional society and has to be maybe expelled from the confines of the known world of the village and maybe sent into the forest and encounters wild animals and in the dark and hears all these strange sounds. that is going to instill a sense of courage when that child comes to realize that he can overcome the seeming frightening situations that he must undergo on that initiation stage of the hero's journey. And so it is necessary for us to go through tests, challenges, and so on in order for us to really develop our sense of courage, in order for us to really sharpen our skills. Okay. Maybe that child has to learn to hunt. That is a skill that he never would have learned if he stayed in the village, in the bosom of his mother. So, how does this apply to the idea of entrepreneurship? Well, when we undergo the road of trials, when we are no longer being told what to do by our boss in our 9 to 5, where we don't have to make any decisions because somebody else higher up above us, the authority figure is making all the decisions and doing all the thinking for us. Now we have to be the ones that have to figure things out. We have to be the ones to face the challenges head on and come up with solutions. We have to be the ones to figure things out. We have to be the ones to face the frightening prospects that come at us as a result of maybe things not working out and we have to figure something else out, right? So these things show us where we need to grow, where we need to hone more skills, where we need to expand our mindset in order to be successful in our entrepreneurial venture as we move into a higher version of ourselves and a more leveled up and scaled up version of our businesses.